El agua para que llueve del cielo.
Cabrón.
Te quiero porque quiero que me quieras, porque como tú no hay nadie más que me pueda enseñar.
Chinga, qué pedo. Tranquilo, güey. Tranquilo.
Hello, everyone. As you can see, the world is a very sad place. A lot of tears are being spilled. A lot of people are sad. A lot of people have the gloomies. A lot of people are depressed. Which is why you come here to This Week is Stupid for the 23rd of May, 2021, hoping that the Romanian might cheer you up. And I gotta say that I'm doing my best. I am trying my best in order to cheer up you people. Yes, you people deserve to be cheered up. So I'm thinking, like, how can I do that? I'm going to talk about puppies. Okay, when you talk about puppies, it's very difficult to depress people with such news, right? So I'm reading the articles talking about puppies and then I get depressed. Did you know that because of the COVID lockdowns, the number of puppies being adopted has increased all the way to 20% extra? By the way, is it because of the COVID lockdowns or due to the COVID lockdowns? As I understand, because is when it's something negative and due to is when it's something positive. Like the chicken borscht is good due to the chicken. It's not good because of the chicken. How does it work? So, due to the COVID lockdown, we now have a lot more puppies being adopted because people were locked up in their apartments. They needed some companionship. And you know what? I'm going to buy a dog. However, now that the lockdowns are lifted, what do you think is happening? Yes, I fear like a lot of you already are making the connection and like, no. But yes, this is what depressed me. The people who have adopted animals during the lockdown are now returning said animals. And anyone that is a pet owner understands why this is horrible. Because number one, the pet usually gets into a routine. So it's very bad for its psyche now to be separated from its adopted family. But worst of all is that pets are far more likely to be adopted when they're young, when they're puppies or kittens, than when they're adults. In fact, adoption of grown animals is only 25%, which means that some of these animals might actually get euthanized. So usually I don't tell people what to do. I try to entertain people in the show. But if you adopted an animal during the lockdown period and now you want to send it back, reconsider. At worst, like if you legitimately are incapable of caring of some other creature either than yourself, try to find a friend that can take it. Do not send it back to the shelter. Or heaven forbid, release it into the wild. Okay, so hopefully I did the public message, I did the public announcement, and now I can go back to talking about the news. In a very bizarre turn of events, Walmart has decided to go along with Target and suspend the sales of Pokemon cards. You know why? Because apparently Pokemon cards are now linked to real-life violence. See, you thought video games create real-life violence. But apparently, Pokemon cards have been tied to multiple events, according to IGN, which occurred relating to their high demands, including a Wisconsin parking lot that resulted in a gun being drawn. So, I assume like someone went, stick 'em up, give me your Pikachu. And because of that, Walmart said, look, we can't sell these things anymore. They are dangerous. I assume it's like in high school, because Billy cannot chew gum responsibly, and he stuck his chewing gum under the teacher's desk. Now no one is allowed to have gum in class. We're not going to punish Bill. We're going to punish everyone. No more gum. Gum is dangerous. You see, this is why I'm a big fan of the American movement of abolishing the police. Because you don't need cops when Walmart and Target is going to fix society for you. No more Pokemon cards, no more problems. And by the way, I heard about conspiracy theories on the internet that politicians might have access to a rare Pikachu card. And by defunding the police, you have like higher crime rate, and then Walmart and Target is going to be forced to suspend the sales of Pokemon cards, which makes the politicians' Pokemon even more valuable. Bet you didn't think about that, did you? Which is why you're here on this channel, to get the latest insight, to get the latest happenings. No, but seriously, like, just what type of person does this? Like, what type of... Who are this person's parents that they think it's okay to threaten someone's life over a Pokemon card? Jesus Christ. Alright, moving on. The US Embassy in London has done an oopsie. It has created an international conflict. You see, they posted this on the Twitter, a video that 200,000 people have seen, saying that however you choose to enjoy your tea today, we wish you a very happy hashtag International Tea Day 2021. And in this obscene video, we can see how a person is warming the tea in a microwave, and then it pulls the tea out, pulls his mask down, and risks infecting everyone in the room with a deadly disease, and then says that the tea is great and leaves before drinking it. So this is from the US Embassy in London, to which the UK Consulate in Chicago has responded, "Think we've done all we can for your country. Good luck with your abomination in a cup." These are legitimate official accounts. That's something that I'm making up. But to be honest, I know how I could fix this international incident. I'm not American, but if I were the people at the US Embassy in London, I would tweet this picture. Because you know what they say, a single picture is worth 1,000 words. You just show this beautiful picture and there's nothing else that requires saying. Now, speaking of masks, you might remember that last week, Nancy Pelosi, my favorite politician ever, and she is my favorite because she is strong. She gets to do what she wants. That's what I want in a politician. I don't care about policy. I care if you manage to bend people to your will. That is what I want to see in a politician, and she definitely fills that role. Despite CDC guidelines saying that if you're vaccinated, you don't have to mask up, despite the fact that every single person in that room was probably vaccinated, she has said that she still wants people to mask up. And the Republicans that dare defied her realized what happens when you defy a strong politician. They were forced to pay a fine because they broke the law. They became criminals, right? Because of her will. She is the magistrate. She is the one that says this is how it's being done. Those politicians went against their will and they paid the price. However, some really bad people on the internet are pointing out that there is no more social distancing at the White House. And other people were pointing out that the masks are down when the cameras aren't rolling. Well, listen here, you bigot. Okay? It's very simple. Different buildings, different rules. Why is it so hard to understand? It's not about whether you mask or you don't mask. It's about whether you listen to Pelosi or you don't listen to Pelosi. That is what you need to understand. That is what a strong politician does. They put on a rule to see if people follow it or not. It doesn't really matter what the rule is. In a polite and civilized society, you do what the leader tells you. Who is the leader? Pelosi. Are you following her or not? It's very simple. Why is it so difficult for people to understand? And speaking of understanding, as the restrictions are starting to ease off, as more and more people are getting vaccinated, we do have certain members of our society, like journalists, which require our utmost compassion. Because right now they are dealing with very difficult issues. Let's listen to one of these brave soldiers of democracy, one of these brave journalists from authoritative sources, share with us the very difficult problems they are dealing with.
And I feel like I'm going to have to rewire myself so that when I see somebody out in the world who's not wearing a mask, I don't instantly think, you are a threat, or you are selfish, or you are a COVID denier, and you definitely haven't been vaccinated. I mean, we're going to have to rewire the way that we look at each other.
Beep, pop, pop, boop. Rewiring in progress. Can you understand just how difficult it is? You know, like most people don't have wires in them, but that's how complex journalists are. Like their brain is like a supercomputer requiring rewiring. So hopefully they're going to manage. I mean, man, like that is a scary place to be in, where you're walking down the streets and you see other people and it's like, threat associated. I must move away. I must move away. Oh, rewiring in progress. Threat is not really a threat. By the way, David Hogg. You guys remember David Hogg? Oh, my favorite guy. Like every now and then he tweets very interesting things, which I admire, because I never think about the way he presents stuff. I feel the need to continue wearing his mask outside, even though I'm fully vaccinated, because the inconvenience of having to wear a mask is more than worth it to have people think that I am a conservative. Can you imagine like the horror David Hogg must go through his life? I mean, you can walk around and there can be a mother and a child walking on the same sidewalk as you, and all of a sudden the mother can hug the child and be like, careful, my dearie, that is a conservative. Ah. I feel like this is something you can especially understand if you're in a very liberal area where 99% of the people you see are wearing masks. Yes, I know. I mean, the liberals, very tolerant area, where they might see, he's not wearing a mask. He must be a conservative. I bet he's one of those people that have a successful pillow company. What is a conservative, you say? I usually don't like having them on my channel, but maybe today I should, because it's important for the conversation. I'll play you a clip from a conservative, but I warn you, their words are harmful. So disregard everything they say, right? For your own safety and others.
Teachers take their masks off while they yell at us kids and that we need to pull ours up. I asked my mom if there's a word for this, and she said there is. Hypocrisy. I know my teacher has asthma and everything, but I understand why it's hard for her to wear a mask, and I think she should have that choice. But I should too. I have allergies, and I feel really anxious with my face covered, but I'm not allowed a mask break like her. All this seems unfair, and it doesn't make sense.
See, this is the problem with conservatives. They don't make sense of things. And I explained it, and it's very simple. There is no hypocrisy. It's very easy. The teacher makes the rules, and you follow them without question. Because she is setting you up for life. When you grow up, then the politicians set the rules, and you follow them without question. Do not think, do not judge, do not ask. Why do you think journalists are disabling comment section? It's for your own good. You do not need to have an input on the matter. The blue check mark, hallowed be their name, understands the will of the politician, and then they tell you what that will is. It's a perfectly working democratic system, and you need to follow it, little Billy. By the way, what do you think Dr. Fauci is doing during all of this? Oh, look, he's tackling racism in the United States. That is such a noble endeavor. You know, if he does even half of a good job like he did with handling COVID, then I'm pretty sure racism is going to be over in the United States within the next couple of years. But I have one request. Look, I have one request. I know I have a lot of American listeners, and maybe you guys can help me out here, because I would like to borrow Dr. Fauci from you. Like, is there a way that I can borrow him from you? I'll give him back, I promise. But I need him for just one thing. You see, At the border with Romania, there is a nation called Moldavia. And this nation could really, really benefit from the wisdom of Dr. Fauci. Like if there was only one way that I could petition so that he can leave the United States and go to Moldavia to solve the racismus there. Because honestly, like after I'm going to tell you this, you would not believe it. Like your pure American brains will not be able to comprehend, because this is what happens when you live in a nation without Dr. Fauci. So the old president of Moldavia, a man by the name of Voronin, had a speech a couple of days ago, and he asked the Moldavian people, why do they side with the West instead of siding with Russia? And then he added, do you want the NATO soldiers to come here and your wives to give birth to people of color? I'm not kidding. Like, he actually said that. He actually said that. Do you not think that Moldavia would benefit from Dr. Fauci to tackle the racismus there? I mean, can you imagine? This is an elected president who served and is saying that awful, awful thing. I really couldn't believe it when I was reading it. It's like, oh my God, if only we could have like Dr. Fauci here. Just for a little bit so he can fix this problem. Because I understand he's tackling gun violence. Now he's tackling racism. Now, just in Moldavia for a little bit, 1 or 2 months, so he can fix it. Because it's a small country. It's not as big as the United States. I mean, there's not that many people you need to change their minds on. But my God, like, can you imagine this statement? Horrible. Now, speaking of the US military, apparently a man in the newly created Space Force has said that Marxism is infiltrating the US military. I mean, I know that everything is political, but the military should not be political. And because he made this statement, he was laid off. And that's a good thing. You know, that's how you show that Marxism hasn't infiltrated the US military, by making sure that the people who say that Marxism has infiltrated the US military are being deplatformed. Correct. You know, no politics in the US military, none whatsoever. Because the purpose of the US military is very clear. The purpose is prioritizing climate change considerations in its threat pictures. Okay, so now the US military has allied itself with Captain Planet, fighting alongside Mati, Kwani, and Wheeler in order to protect Mother Gaia. Look here, you bigot. Warming temperatures open new theaters of operations. I mean, we used to have theaters of operation, but they were closed because they were cold. But now, because things have warmed up, the theaters of operations have suddenly burst open for military and commercial use, while extreme weather events, such as the Cold War, I assume, and rising sea levels threaten infrastructure and economic output, triggering large-scale population displacement, migration, and exacerbate food and water insecurity. And because of this, in line with the President and the Secretary of Defense direction, the military is prioritizing climate change considerations in its threat pictures, strategic plans, operation, and installations. Now, of course, based on Science Daily, on a study that came out in 2019, the US military consumes more hydrocarbons than most countries. Massive hidden impact on climate. So I'm sure that now they're tackling climate change. We're probably going to see less tanks, less reliance on fuel. Hey, maybe we're going to see the world's first electric tank. Maybe Tesla can start working on that a little bit. And instead of weapons, you know, because like when you discharge a rifle or you make an explosion, you release carbon in the atmosphere. Maybe they can use bow and arrows and spears. And that's going to be like the world's first green military in the modern century. Isn't that great? Oh, I hope Biden considers it. You know, I hope it's like, okay, explosions are bad. You know, instead, you know what you need to use? Instead of bombs, you need to use glitter bombs. Yes, glitter bomb. Just explode with glitter everywhere. And then the enemies who get hit by the glitter, they can pretend they have been KO'd. How about that? Oh, isn't that progressive? I think it's very progressive. And speaking of military and conflicts and whatnot, let's talk about some more regressive armies that cause a lot of negative impact on the climate change. Like, for example, the conflict between Israel and Hamas. You know, like one side shoots rockets, the other side takes them out, and there we have it, CO2 released into the atmosphere. Horrible. Now, a couple of journalists on Twitter, blue check marks, prestigious people, unlike you and I, have had some hot takes, right, in support of Jewish people being killed. And apparently Twitter has said that they are not going to be banned, provided they eventually delete their pro-genocide message. Isn't that beautiful? Like the empathy and the compassion that Twitter has for its users. I mean, Twitter understands, hey, look, you did something wrong. Like, you violated our TOS. I know you did. But, like, you know, here at Twitter, we believe in redemption. We believe in making an apology to change you as a more better person. You did something of an oopsie. Well, now you can change. What's that? Telling journalists to learn how to code? Well, there is no redemption for that. That is like a grave sin. That is a grave sin, and people get banned if you tell a journalist to learn how to code. I know journalists told minors in the past who have been displaced because of economic policies and they were losing their jobs to learn how to code, but that's different, okay? Because journalists are above the code. I mean, if minors get to code, do you think like a journalist is going to get into the same position as a minor? I mean, that's the working class. The journalists are the intelligentsia. So they are above the working class. Am I not following this correctly? I think I am, right? So this is why telling a journalist to learn how to code is a grave offense, a sin, which cannot be forgiven. But other than that, Twitter is a very forgiving and compassionate company. Like, they allow second chances all the time, every time. Except if you're a Spanish politician and you're saying that a man cannot get pregnant. Like, what is this nonsense? Of course men can get pregnant. You know, every single day I have sex, I use a condom because I could get pregnant. If I don't. I heard that my friend also went next to his girlfriend, hold her hand, and it's like, honey, we need to talk about something serious right now. Like, what happened? I think I'm pregnant. And the woman freaked out because now she might have to pay for child support. Don't laugh. It's a serious matter. Jesus. So, you know, denying this reality is harmful. And luckily, Twitter is there to step in and say, no, men can get pregnant. And if you think otherwise, you do not belong in positive society, because everything that matters is the thought, okay? Thinking, that is the power of evil and bigotry. And if we only have Twitter to tell us how to think correctly, then we cannot be evil and we cannot be bigots. And thankfully, between a politician and Twitter, Twitter has the final say. You know, between an elected man of the people and Jack Dorsey gets to say no. So I am glad that Twitter is the vigil on the wall. It is the last line of defense when it comes to preserving democracy. And just to add something extra, you know, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter whether you think a man can and can't give birth. This is not what the conversation is about, is whether or not you obey Jack Dorsey or not. Because if you can't obey Jack Dorsey, well, I'm sorry, but you cannot post on the internet. Your opinions do not matter. Your opinion is invalidated the moment you go against Jack Dorsey's wills and desires. So let's get that straight. All right, like if you cannot obey Jack Dorsey, you cannot be trusted as a person to use an open platform. Now, if I get a super chat, I'll tell you guys some good news. Huh? Do you see what a snake oil salesman I am? Just like I inserted that there. Like, would be funny if I got a lot of super chats and I'm still asking, because this isn't live, you know? You might think it's live, but it's not. But it kind of is, because it's a premiere. So maybe I got a lot of super chats by now, and I'm just asking, and people are like, V, you greedy bastard. Okay. Good news time. You know what? I don't care. I got super chats. I don't got super chat. I will tell you the good story. All right? If you are a non-binary person, there is now a surgery available for you. Yes, for you. It is called nullification. Dr. Angela Rodriguez is going to join the practice on May the 3rd, 2021. We are past that day, so you can now benefit from the surgery called nullification. So you might wonder, like, what is nullification? Well, you see, certain patients might be interested into transitioning into either male or female. But what do we do with the individuals that don't identify as either or they feel that their gender does not conform to any of the other genders? Well, in this case, they have the option of gender nullification, which can enable non-conforming patients to enjoy a relative smooth genital area. The nullification creates a relatively continuous and mostly unbroken transition from the abdomen down in the genital area, enabling gender non-conforming patients to enjoy a body that looks closer on the outside to the way that they feel inside. And by the way, I did get the question. It's like, well, how are they supposed to be if it's a smooth transition? Like, look, man, go with the motto. If there is a hole, there is a goal. Am I a good candidate? The World Professional Association for Transgender Health has standards of care in place that requires patients over 18 have 2 letters from mental health providers stating their readiness for surgery. Clients must be taking hormones and be non-smokers. Very discriminatory. Like, why do they discriminate against smokers, huh? Do they have it smoking? Phallus-preserving vaginoplasty has been shown to have a positive lasting benefit for trans men and non-binary individuals who desire non-standard genital affirmation surgery. If you're interested in this procedure or one of the other non-standard gender surgeries we offer, we recommend reaching out to us and setting up a consultation. So, told you, I got good news. Huh? Did I lie? I did not lie. Now, as the US military has aptly said, due to the increasing levels of temperature, new theaters of battle have opened. And one of these important battles is the battle to abolish gender. And the new theater has opened into the land of Legos. We noticed that before feminism, Lego has issued a very interesting letter to parents. Yes, Lego is taking its time from being a multi-billion-dollar corporation to educate you bigot, saying that the urge to create is equally strong in all children, boys and girls, and it's imagination that counts, not skill. You build whatever comes into your head the way you wanted, a bed or a truck, a dollhouse or a spaceships. A lot of boys like dollhouses. To be honest, I used to love dollhouses when I was a kid. Unfortunately, I grew up under socialism, and the concept of a dollhouse didn't exist, because that was bourgeoisie wastefulness. No, seriously, like too much plastic being wasted. Are you crazy? It's like a dollhouse? A doll is expensive as it is, like an entire house of them. It's like, why does a child need so many toys? A child needs to focus on worshipping the state, the government, the leader, and the playtime should be reserved to one doll. What is this wasteful bourgeoisie thing? So yeah, I wanted a dollhouse when I was a kid, but I didn't get one. I was sad. They're more human than spaceships. The dollhouse is more human than spaceships, claims Lego. A lot of girls prefer spaceships. They're more exciting than dollhouses. Objects are more exciting than human beings, claims Lego. I mean, who am I to disagree with a multi-billion-dollar corporation? Like, the more money you have, the more right you are. The more power you have, the more correct you are. Isn't that how the world works? So they're saying that the most important thing is to put the right material in their hands and let them create whatever appeals them. Isn't this beautiful? Like a note to parents. And this was before feminism. After feminism, kindergarten teacher bans Legos for boys, citing gender equity. Yes, finally it has been done. Boys, it is not for you. It is for the girls. Only they are allowed to play. Huh? Why aren't you a girl? You should have been a girl. Huh? If you were a girl, could have played with Legos. Why were you born wrong? That's where you made a mistake in your life. I like the power trip of the teacher. Can you imagine that? Like you are placed in a position where you get to decide, like, this toy, it is for you, but not for you. Why? Because I say so. Isn't that how the world works? It's like the position of authority dictates. And at the end of the day, it is not whether the toy is for boys or for girls. It is if the children obey the teacher, the figure of authority, unquestionably. You need to obey and follow. Because later on in life, you grow up and you're going to have to obey the blue check marks on Twitter if you want to have a job. And the politicians if you want to be a decent member of society. So, learning to obey should be taught at kindergarten level. Now, moving forward, I yet again find myself in a pickle that maybe Dr. Fauci can help me out of. You see, on the YouTube channel, the official channel for Barbie, it is yet again the new modern churches, which are corporations, to lecture us about how to be good and decent human beings. Without corporations, society would run amok. Everyone would do whatever they want. But luckily, we have a toy company to lecture us about important subjects such as racism. And here we have Barbie bringing up her friend Nikki. Okay, you can notice it's going to be a very interesting conversation that Barbie is very concerned about. I mean, look at her facial features. In which she is going to share her experience about when she has been treated unfairly. Someone treated this doll, this toy, unfairly. And here we have her experiences. It is important to have ongoing conversations about standing up to racism. I agree. I full-heartedly agree. So I press the shift key on the keyboard. I press the letter N in order to write, now is definitely the time to have this important conversation. But unfortunately, the comments have disabilities. So how can I have the important conversation? I can't have the conversation. I glitched. I short-circuited. Because here I am convinced that now is the time for the conversation with capital N. And unfortunately, I'm not allowed to have it because the comments are disabled. How can I have the conversation? I need to have the conversation now. What do I do in this situation? Huh? Anyway, thank you guys for watching the show. I hope you enjoyed. Remember, everything is comedy. I need to make absolutely sure that people understand, alright? Like, this is for comedy. It's to make people laugh, to make people smile. Like, these opinions are part of a pamphlet. You need to mention this, because then you have, like, some people that might actually think you're serious. They might think that you actually do want to have a conversation on the Barbie channel. No, I don't. I want to have a conversation with my kids to lecture them about. I do not dare to speak up against the corporate. Holy shit. But do let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.